member, and I call the member for Fremantle.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And when it comes to the federal government and the Commonwealth, it's hard to think of a more important service responsibility than providing income support through pensions for older Australians and people with a disability. And, it's in the nature of income support that when people need it, those people need it badly, and they need it quickly. If you can't get that support, you go without. If you can't get that support, you're put under severe pressure. And there is no good reason for older Australians and Australians with disability to be prevented from accessing income support. We've heard people in this debate today talk around it. They talk about other aspects of policies that may or may not affect older Australians, but they haven't addressed the point of this matter of public importance. Why are these intolerable delays occurring? Why are they getting worse? There's no good reason we can't expect that pension applications in this country get processed quickly. We should expect that technological change makes processing easier and faster, not slower, not more dehumanised, not more painful and more frustrating. But that is exactly what has happened since the very dawn of this government. What is happening is that people who need income support and who are eligible for it are waiting longer and longer. They're waiting for months and months and months. And it's not because, as the Assistant Minister suggested, that there's some question or some evidence about people's eligibility. They are waiting months and months and months because of a basic service delivery failure of this government. And those delays began at the very beginning of this government, and they were entirely predictable. All of us in this place hear from people experiencing what are extraordinary Kafkaesque delays. And you will have seen through constituent statements and adjournment debates over the last several years, members on this side getting up and telling those stories, and silence from the other side. Their officers are hearing it too, but they're just not speaking up on behalf of those people facing those kinds of intolerable delays. In the last financial year alone, the average processing time for the age pension went from 36 to 49 days. There are 5,000 claims sitting with the department that have been waiting for more than 70 days. And last year, 48 million, almost 2 phone calls for every living and breathing Australian, 48 million calls to Centrelink went unanswered, and millions of people abandoned calls out of sheer frustration and, I'm sure on occasions, sheer exhaustion. Earlier this year in March, I was contacted from a resident in North Fremantle. She was still awaiting the resolution of her age pension claim that was lodged last July. It was lodged in July 2017. This person was diagnosed with cancer in the middle of last year, and at age 67, after working in Fremantle hospitals for more than 30 years, she decided it was time to step back from her demanding role in a cardiac care unit and look after herself. She waited 9 months to have her pension application processed. This is a stark and bizarre and unacceptable failure of basic service delivery, but there's no great mystery as to how the failure occurred. Under this government, it was entirely predictable, it was deliberate, and it was self-inflicted. The recipe for this astonishing failure was pretty obvious. You cut the public service, you cut staffing levels, you freeze wages, you remove workplace flexibility, you outsource services, and you undermine skills and morale and corporate knowledge within Centrelink. And hey presto, you wreck it. You wreck our social compact. You wreck the age pension system in this country. It does make me think of the Mike Myers film. I can't remember exactly what it was called. He was some sort of self-help guru. He had a book. The self-help book was called Does It Hurt When You Do That? Stop Doing That. And you'd think that that's some advice that this government could take. But instead, vulnerable people in our communities around this country are waiting for months, and they're facing the insecurity and the stress of going without income support. Instead of bearing down on the problem and fixing it, instead of doing something about it, this government's focus is cutting public sector jobs, squeezing and demoralising the public sector workforce, privatising and outsourcing anything and everything that moves. They've always been obsessed with small government. They're taking that to bizarre levels this week. The government's getting smaller with each passing day. But instead of looking after the people who need support, they are always on the lookout for enemies, this lot, and their enemies are the public sector, the public broadcaster, the community and public sector union, and just about anyone who needs help in this country, especially disadvantaged and vulnerable Australians. Will we take a different approach on this side of the House? We're going to restaff Centrelink, we're going to maintain the energy supplement for seniors in this country, and we're going to restore funding to the public broadcasters. We've got a completely different agenda, and I think Australia and Australians are looking forward to seeing a change in this place after 5 years of hopelessness from that lot over there.